You've been thinking about getting a boa constrictor, or you already have one. These incredible snakes are amazing pets, but there are some big mistakes that can honestly affect their health, their growth, their stress levels, or even their lifespan. Today, we're breaking down the 6 most common mistakes boa constrictor owners make and how you can avoid them. Mistake number 1, inadequate enclosure size. Many new boa owners underestimate the size of these creatures and how much space that these guys actually need, which leads to a much smaller enclosure than their snake actually needs. And here's why it's a problem. Boas need room to stretch out. They need to move, and they need to thermoregulate properly. A cramped enclosure can cause these guys stress, muscle weakness, and poor overall health. Here's the solution to fix that. Hatchlings and juveniles can be in about a 3 to 4 foot long tank, but adults should have a minimum of 6 by 2 by 2 or bigger. Consider PVC enclosures. Now those can get pretty pricey, but my personal favorite, grow tents, they provide enough space and they're extremely budget friendly. And they both regulate heat and humidity just perfect. Which leads us to our next mistake, improper humidity and temperature levels. Using heat lamps strictly instead of belly heat, radiant heat, or ceramic heat, and not maintaining the proper humidity levels. This is a problem because boa constrictors rely on their ambient heat for proper digestion, and improper humidity levels can cause shedding issues and even worse, respiratory health issues. Here's the solution for that. On the hot side, you want it to be about 88 to 90 degrees. You can use under the tank heating or use a nice radiant or ceramic heat for the hot spot. And you want to make sure that you have a thermostat. On the cool side, you want it to be 78 to 80 degrees to allow them to do the thermoregulating themselves. Overall ambient heat should be right around 81 degrees. Humidity levels should be anywhere from 60 to 75%. You can maintain this with misting, the proper substrate, and a giant water bowl. And if you want to see the best humidity holding substrate, that video will be right here. Mistake number 3 is feeding these guys too large of prey. Now they may look like big creatures and that they could handle it, but you do not want to go more than 1.3 times their thickest part of their body. Feeding these guys too often or too large of prey can cause regurgitation, and it can seriously injure them internally. The solution to that, obviously you want to feed them the proper size prey. If you want to be safe, don't go larger than their thickest part of their body, but you can go up to 1.2, 1.4, and you don't want to feed them too often. So hatchlings will be every 7 to 10, juveniles will be every 7 to 14, every snake is different, and adults it's going to be every 2 to 4 weeks, depending on their size and depending on their metabolism and activity. But if you do have a female, and you are planning on breeding that female, you can feed them every 2 weeks, but they would be just fine once a month. Mistake number 4, overhandling, especially after them eating. Especially younger snakes. You need to give them at least 2 weeks before handling them. Handling your boa too soon after feeding, or handling too often before they're actually settled in. Handling after a meal can lead to stress-induced regurgitation, which is extremely dangerous for the snake. Overhandling can make a new or defensive boa even more stressed and harder to tame. If you guys want more information on that, I have a shorts and reels series of taming our newer edition, Sydney. She's a red rum pastel VPI, and she's not settling in quite as nicely as Kruger was, or did. Here's the solution to fix all those problems. Wait at least 48 hours for a juvenile to adult before handling after feeding. Baby, on the other hand, you should wait at least a week. For new boas, you need to be giving them at least 1 to 2 weeks to settle in. Yes, that means do not touch them for 1 to 2 weeks. Then you start your short handling session. If defensive or scared, use slow, confident movements and work on gaining that trust organically. A little pro tip, put a worn shirt inside their enclosure so that they can get used to your smell and feel safer and more secure and trustworthy when you put your hands in there. Mistake number 5, lack of hides. Basically, what you're doing is not providing them enough secure hiding spots. This is a problem because boas instinctively seek for cover and hide when they're stressed or scared. Think of the hides of more like a security blanket. A stressed boa is more likely to become defensive, refuse food, and actually struggle with shedding. So the best way to avoid all of this, provide at least 2 secure hides, one on the warm side, one on the cool side. This allows your snake to get out, thermoregulate, and feel safe on each side of the enclosure. Use cork bark, plastic hides, or do-it-yourself climbing perches and hides that fit snugly right around your boa. Most importantly, you need to be adding climbing structures or more enrichment items. Keeping these guys entertained and engaged will lead to a much healthier and nicer boa. Mistake number 6 is the inconsistent cleaning habits. There's been reports of people going a year without cleaning. You need to set a schedule. If your boa is eating once a month and they only poop once a month, maybe you could get away with going every 2 months with cleaning. If your boa is eating and pooping twice, don't go more than 1 month. So why is this a mistake? It's because you're skipping regular cleaning, which can lead to unsanitary conditions. Because dirty enclosures can cause scale rot, bacterial infections, and mites. And leftover waste or stuck shed could lead to fungal infections. The solution to that is super simple. I'm not saying you need to put new substrate in there every week. What you have to do is just spot clean. These guys don't make that big of a mess. So just spot clean once a week. After you feed them, what happens after they get fed? They're gonna poop at some point. So spot clean once a week, once every 2 weeks, depending on your snake's meal routine. Deep clean the entire enclosure with new substrate once a month, and use Reptile safe disinfectant. Keep the substrate dry and fresh to avoid any bacteria buildup. Here's a bonus mistake. People not doing enough research before getting a boa constrictor, relying on bad pet store advice instead of doing your own research. Why is this a problem? Many pet stores give outdated advice or absolutely incorrect info when it comes to care for a boa constrictor. And this leads to improper setups and sick snakes that don't live to their expected lifespan. So the solution is pretty simple. Make sure you're learning from experienced keepers, breeders, and reptile communities. Follow reptile care guides, watch videos, and stay up to date on best practices because there's new research coming out every single day for these animals. Join forums, join social media groups, or advice and shared experiences. Avoiding these mistakes will help your boa live a long, healthy life. If you guys found this helpful, make sure to like this video, share this video with your friends, and don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell for more videos. Drop a comment down below with any boa comment you may have in regards to yours, or if you're just curious. Any guesses on this guy's morph? Let us know in the comments. See you next time.